you. I was worried that someone would go ahead and get mangry with me.
Get mangry at shit.
Hey, girl, you want to get mangry with me?
No, like getting mangry is what happens when you're like, that's just dude rage. Mangry is just dude rage.
Hey, have you ever been dude raged?
I found a chart that has these different variations of hangry. Let me try to find it.
Hey, do you want to get mangried? You want to get mangried into the ground, kid? Hey, kid, come here, look at me.
Mangry is like a, it's similar to but distinct from dick mad. I'm glad you liked it so much.
Fuck me, dick mad.
Haven't you heard dick mad
here we
before?
go.
I've only heard it from you, and it fucks me up every time. Every time that you say it, it fucks me out.
Are you strungry, or are you snorngry, or are you strangry, sorny, hangry, strad?
I'm a little
hungry,
sorny.
I'm Strad.
hungerad?
I'm Strad.
Have you
I
ever,
love Strungrad. That's
ever-
me all the time.
you ever been so horny you're sad?
Oh, you mean had?
You mean? No, it's sorny.
I've been had!
That's when you're sorny. Or hungerad.
Hungrad. That's
Hungrad.
that's where you haven't been paying attention to any of your pyramid important stuff. You're just
Let's see.
horny, hungry, and sad, so you just ain't got nothing. You're gone. That's where you put a fucking little black void on your Twitter account and just gone.
Oh no! My chapstick
See,
fell over.
Horngrad is like the horniest city in Russia.
Oh no! Oh god, our pre-show's amazing.
Is this a pre-show?
This is the pre-show. The next.
I wish that Twitch would send me like a verification email so I could access my account again.
You might just have to make your own account, a new account.
I might just have to make a new account.
Gail, I'll
is there
support
like
you.
a law against that
No,
or something?
you can
Like,
have as
they
many.
ban-
I have 3. I have 2. That's a lie. I have 2 YouTube accounts and 2 Twitch accounts, and only one of them is verified, so...
Oh my god, this ad! I opened up this stream. This ad is literally 60 seconds long. There we go.
Thank you for supporting a salty...
Okay, ad blocker. There we go. Turned on.
Oh. No, I got little sad man face.
I'm stripping you of that quarter of a penny.
Hey man, ads add up.
True. True.
True though.
Okay, hi, I live in again.
Hello, Madrona.
You have no idea how, like, turgid and swollen my existence is.
I don't think those are...
Yeah.
I don't think that's what you want.
Look, I ate tacos.
You know
I
my
also ate
remark and
tacos.
surprise at that?
I don't think
Ah.
that's what you'd need. I don't think that's the thing
I
that you
also
want.
It
had
is. This
tacos.
game is called ACK.
Don't you feel turgid?
Not
I am
after tacos.
extremely turgid all the
Yeah,
time.
see?
That's just a general state of being for me. That's not something
I don't even know what that means.
engorged with water.
Oh.
Engorged.
Well,
Often with water.
we
You
are
often ref-
70%
for
water,
instance,
so aren't we
you can
always
refer to your
turdaged?
dick as being when it's hard.
We're always turdaged.
Turdaged?
Tort. Hey, I know
We're
the
always
word. Why don't you
tortoise.
say it again? So I can make fun of how you say it.
Turgid.
not- So that I learn the
no.
proper way.
Hey, Rat, your validity
Turd.
quality is really, really, like, high, and I don't understand why.
What do you mean?
Your
Video quality?
video quality is only at 648p at the moment.
I mean, that's just what it's gonna be at.
Okay. Why is it doing it this time?
What do you mean?
Well, usually you have multiple quality settings.
It depends on the time of day, right, and how long a stream has been going. We'll get better. We'll get higher priority for.
Okay, I'm lonely Zenith form in the
All
stream.
right, bam. You ready for be moderator? Bam, 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 bam.
I think we need to ban this.
There. Now, if you talk, you get a little. If you talk, you have a little sword next to you.
I wonder if I can talk.
I don't have a sword.
Yes, you do.
You do have a sword.
Oh, I do? It doesn't show the sword for me.
It probably hasn't updated on your side yet.
Yeah, I see your sword.
And Scrib has a little crown.
Yeah.
Prime Gaming.
Yeah, I have Rhyme because I've had it forever.
Prime
It
Would you
exists on
say-
this account.
You're a pro gamer.
Where
They
Scrib
gave me like
is,
2 years of free Prime, so I have Prime. That's why.
Oh wow.
Where Scrib is a pro gamer. Last I checked.
Oh yeah, I can sometimes beat things in Dark Souls.
That.
Ooh.
So while we're doing our pre-show, everyone, how you guys doing? I would like you to take a look at this graph. And decide.
Look at
what-
this graph.
Look at this graph.
Sorry, I had
And decide what emotion you're on right now. I like Stronery a lot.
I'm
Oh, man.
always strong grad.
I like Strungery a lot, actually. Where you're hungry, stressed, and horny all the time.
I'm too sad to be horny.
Yeah, but you can be sorny.
Sorny?
Sorny.
Where's
I like
Sorny?
corn
Oh,
bread.
there you go, Sorny.
Those who are just listening to the audio, I'm sorry. you don't
I-
see this graph.
I think Sorny is actually like me. That is definitely me there.
Sorny.
I think
Isn't
Sorny.
Sorny
Yeah.
just off-brand PlayStation and stuff?
It's hard for me to find one of these that don't have horny in it.
Yeah, but horny is an important emotion.
Hangry.
It's
Hangry
part-
isn't horny.
True, but I'm more than angry. I'm more than
God.
two-dimensional.
God.
Are you not Hungerad? I think you're Hungerad.
Hungry.
That's true. I could be Hungerad.
I'm gonna get myself a drink and then we're gonna start this thing up proper.
Hungerad sounds like a city that the Germans tried and failed to take. from World War
Hungrad is
II.
the horniest city in Russia. We've already been
Oh,
through
No,
this.
Horngrad is. Hungerad is not.
Hungrad.
Comrade, the fascists will never take Hungerad.
Oh God.
I hope not. They'll take away all
You
our
know,
horniness.
what's sad is that wasn't the worst Russian accent I've heard. Not even close.
Any accent I try to do, if I do it for long enough, it defaults to a vague southern accent. And the only time
The only problem
isn't
with that
true
accent
is
is if you're really being Russian, you have to like suck your entire body up into your nose.
You have to talk entirely through your butthole.
wow.
You gotta be like, don't worry.
We just
we
lost.
will take back Horngrad.
We just lost all of our Russian viewers.
Good, fuck them.
Kill all Russian now. As a Slav that is not Russian, this is required by law.
Yeah,
Um,
it's bad.
Suddenly, a salty rat is banned from Twitch.
That's fine, I accept it.
Twitch is owned by Russia. Oh god.
You finally cracked the case.
I
Like,
cracked the
well,
case.
I was
I did
away
it.
for 2 minutes and I got Twitch banned.
All right.
Isn't
I don't dislike Russia. I just don't like Russians.
Aren't Twitch bans like being disappeared, to where even if you appear in a single frame on someone else's stream, they're
No.
also banned?
Yeah.
No, that's not
Yes.
real. That's not
No,
a
that's
real
true.
thing.
That is real. That is
Wow.
that is real. That does
That's
happen.
crazy. I
If you're
believe
banned,
that.
if you're banned from Twitch and they uphold the ban, then if you appear on someone else's stream, they'll get banned.
Wait, so then you just have to get onto everybody bad's stream.
You
Well,
like
they won't. They obviously won't let you on their stream if you've been banned from Twitch.
you
like,
kick down H3H3's
You
stream.
get disappeared like that Stalin photo where the guy is like no longer there.
Oh, you're gonna get edited out.
there are
like Trotsky?
entire multiple scenes in like major like motion picture productions in the Soviet Union that like we can't find the complete copies to this day because they included like an actor who got disappeared or something.
Oh,
Oh my
no.
god.
Or just Trotsky's face somewhere.
Yeah, like in passing in a scene, like a painting on a wall somewhere had Trotsky's face on it. It's like boom, movie's gone. Fucking Stalin.
Or
you
Shore.
guys.
Shore got disappeared despite like remaining a hero, like of the Soviet Union. It was really ridiculous.
You know who else is a hero of the Soviet Union? Adventure Conqueror King by Autarch.
Well, I have like an intro crawl to do if you guys want me to do that.
You know who else
Yes.
ruins all of our intros? Wait, what the hell's your name?
You don't have to.
Is that a
Ooh.
transition to our introduction where we introduce ourselves?
No,
That was
no.
really slick.
Yeah, that would have been really slick if that was planned.
Look, I can't remember your name. Your name's just like I just see, you know, Master Phoenix, and I'm like, that's not your name.
It's
Hey,
a
BM.
secret. I only reveal my true name in
It's
the intro.
Marlin. He's called Marlin.
Marlin.
Marlon's
Yeah, you're a fish.
Oh no.
It's a really cool fish, though.
It is.
All right.
Marlin's a pretty rad fish.
It's a big fish with large muscles.
It's time to take
10
control.
spikes.
We're doing the intro now, fuckos.
It is intro
Welcome.
time.
Welcome to Your Game May Vary, a podcast about pen and paper games and whatever else. Let me tell you something. I don't
Yeah.
like D&D at all. Third edition, everything that came after that is just a fucking nightmare. It's not fun. Fifth edition puts things back on track, and I don't like it either for a different reason that I don't like third edition and fourth edition. For people like me, who only like AD&D, there's OSR, or Old School Renaissance games. Basically, they're updates of older rule sets, and they have some new packaging for a more like brutal dungeon crawly gameplay style. And tonight we're going to talk about one of them. It's called ACKS, or the Adventure Conqueror King system by Autarch. My name is Fux. My pronouns are she, they, and joining me are introduce others.
I'm Marlin. I am he and him.
I'm not a fish. I'm Madrona. I'm a deer. I'm she
Tree.
and her. I'm a deer, a tree, and I'm a worm. Okay,
We're learning
deer, tree, worm.
Deer Tree Worm, the big three. And I'm a salty rat. My pronouns are he and him.
Alright,
Let us-
Zux, hit us with your hot take.
About hot
I
take.
like ACKS to the same degree that I like AD&D, but I like AD&D better because AD&D doesn't have the extra stuff that ACKS puts in. I like some of the things that ACKS puts in, which we'll get into later, but it also does not have. It doesn't go far enough in a lot of places, and it goes too far in other places.
Axe is really simple to talk about. All it is freaking like it's not even AD&D. It's like D&D. I can't actually remember if it's closer to second edition D&D or original D&D. I haven't looked either book in a while. That's somewhere on my shelves.
It's
And I don't know
actually
where my
like
shelf
halfway
is.
between AD&D and third edition.
From me reading
The important part
like,
is that you
if
don't
you
have all
do
those
sound
stupid.
management.
The most important part of the entire system is straight up front. You don't have all of those stupid classes for non-humans. They can't be your fighters. They're stuck into their hole. You have to take your elf class, and you know what? That's pretty much all you need.
It seems like this game is divided like clean in the middle. One half is like you go on adventures, like your standard D&D stuff, and the other half is you build a town and you have to deal with taxes.
In the olden days in AD&D, right? As you leveled up, you would gain certain titles, right, in your class, right? And then those titles would usually come with like some sort of like holdings, like a master thief, right? Was a thief that had like a minor thieves guild or like a gang that they controlled, right? Or like a level 10 like cleric was like a patriarch, and he was like a fucking like pope, like a mini pope, and he had his own church with his own servants and his own like monastery and stuff. So like levels translated into like involvement in the world, you know?
So kind of like a town management light.
Yeah, well, it didn't really have much to do with the actual game as such.
Oh, now I'm
in
completely
AD&D.
lost.
It was mostly background in AD&D. It wasn't extremely well fleshed out. It was kind of like a background thing. In ACKS, there are specific rules related to like the construction and maintenance of things, right? Of holdings, but it doesn't like it leaves too much to the imagination.
I don't know, because I'm reading it and it's telling me like you have to roll for immigration, factoring in your fame level, and you have to roll for income per like peasant that you have, and you can build like it gives me a list of stronghold structures and the gold required to build them, and then it's like your domain can be civilized, borderland, or wild, and that like a civilized you roll 8d6 times 10 per 6 mile hex, and I feel like this is a lot of information to build the town.
Alright. So the reason it's like that is because they want to flesh out the town building stuff, right? But the problem with it is that they don't integrate that into the game. There's not like a good spread of like complexity over the various like sections of the game, where the town building is very, very complex and granular, and the combat it's like D&D combat, so it's like not particularly complex or granular.
How do you transition between the town building to going on adventure?
That's a really good question. I don't have an answer for you, because my main criticism of this system is that they seem to exist. It's like someone crashed like a city building game into an RPG without adding any connective tissue. So like there's certain parts of the city building that jut into the RPG and certain parts of the RPG that jut into the city building, but they're not part of the same structure.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, it's in the old. You even see remnants of this in more modern D&D systems with the leadership feats and like the leadership bullshit. Those are all historical remnants of like the whole well, I've reached level 9 as a thief. Now I have my underground hideout. And like this is how it worked. Get a command ability, you would have an amount of people who could show up and want to join up with you, and you'd have the capability of opening up your secret lair and whatever. This was the same for every class. You can actually see speculation in Baldur's Gate 2. If you ever played that game, it has a direct interpretation, at least, of the system. You can, if you're a druid, you go to the druid grove and do your business. You murder the high druid, because that's how druids obtain a grove. You have to kill somebody.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's historically in at least the role you got out of. To be a high druid, there could only be one. So if you wanted to become a high druid, you generally had to prove the former druid.
I know that there's also a whole section here speaking about criminal, like, thieves guild, where you can build an entire thieves guild, and if you take over another thieves guild, all of the henchmen roll to see if they attack you, they betray you, if they hesitate, or they accept you as their new leader. So it seems like there's a lot of depth here to like the management side of things, but I didn't see too much about like the adventure side of things?
Well, it's pretty simple. You're playing D&D. If you look at the dungeon section, it's pretty clear. You know, you go into your lair, you bust down doors, you're monsters. Once you hit level 9, you get enough clout that you can start becoming, you know, somebody.
And you have to
you're
hire an
clouding-
attorney.
Yeah, and if you want to go ahead and progress from there, you can either keep going as an adventurer, kind of beyond that. So you're kind of an adventurer who is also, you know, now attempting to gain ground. It's kind of set up in the title, you know. You go from adventurer, you hit your level 9 point, now you're a big boy. And you've got to go ahead and make some ground for yourself if you want to, you know, stop being a loser murder hobo.
This kind of reminds me of
Which you
Spore,
can't
the
want
video
to.
game. It kind of reminds me of Spore, the video game, where it's like there's all these different stages before the space stage, but all of those stages are just waiting until you get to the space stage, and they're kind of like busy work. And I kind of get the vibe that like the adventure side of this would turn into busy work until you finally hit that level 9 and started building your domain.
Kinda. The idea that it's set up is very much in the title. You go from adventurer, you're murder hobo. Adventure becomes more expensive as you're leveling. As a note, if you ever looked at living expenses in it, that's actually one of the reasons you need to start scaling up, because you'll go bankrupt. Being cool requires money.
You mean I can't make a living off of just randomly looting dungeons my whole life?
Oh, you can actually. You just have to loot bigger dungeons and better dungeons.
Oh.
Cooler dungeons.
You have to get into the really intense stuff.
What? Are you telling me that I can't be a world-renowned celebrity who literally just sleeps in a stable every night?
Yeah, exactly. And like, what happens when you hit level 9? It's like, oh, you've now reached enough clout that people are starting to like you. You know, your big dick has grown to a size where it needs some room to breathe. And you know what?
See a doctor.
If your dick is breathing, please call a doctor.
Look, sometimes it happens, you know? Just saying.
Well, you're a druid, so whatever
Yeah,
happens, happens.
I'm a druid. I know science. I speak for the trees.
I speak for the beans.
The Lorax would be a druid, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to be.
I think the Lorax would be a barbarian.
Why would he be a barbarian?
Well, he'd be a
Because
cleric.
he'd be a barbarian subclass as a cleric. I don't know.
Well, actually,
He's a
okay.
druid.
Here's
He's
the
a
thing.
nature worshiper with nature powers. He's a druid. He talks to animals and trees.
Oh my
Literally druid.
We can't get past that fact. He is a druid.
You could
can't
maybe
believe-
argue he's a
I
ranger.
can't believe we're arguing about this. We need to talk about other things now.
Let's talk about Adventure Conqueror King.
Yeah, a system which doesn't have a default druid or ranger, which makes it bad, but let's move past that.
You can also, if you get tired of building towns and managing your increasingly complex domain, enter the world of finance. And you can have different market classes that you go into, and you have to roll for shipping contracts and cargo transports, and you have to roll for markets, and you have to figure out what class the city is, and you have to roll and roll and roll, and oh my gosh, I feel like this is middle management, the tabletop game.
Well, yeah, see, it progresses into this. Once you go ahead and hit, like at that level 9 moment, there's a transition point, and this involves conquering, because like there's not a lot of open space. This is where adventuring is connected to the thing, because normally in a setting you don't got that room.
Yeah,
You may.
but the problem is that the conquering part is kind of ignored, and the adventurer and king parts are very, very much, very specifically legislated in the rules. The conquering
See,
part is not really. That's the wild fucking west. And I get
See-
why that is because the you're supposed to make up the specific rules for it, like according to whatever narrative you've come up with as part of your campaign. But the problem with that is that if you don't have any like if you don't have any guidelines to lead you through that process, then it's gonna be like really just it's gonna feel really slapdash a lot of the time unless you're like really familiar with the system already.
So it's kind of like when you have to homebrew in D&D, but in this, instead of accenting on existing rules for edge cases, it's literally just like, oh, baseline mechanics. You need to homebrew baseline mechanics.
Well, you don't really need to homebrew anything. It's like, not to go ahead and contradict hardcore here, but this is a typical D&D thing. How are you going to do it? One, it depends upon the class, but generally it involves going into a dungeon where these people already own something and murder fucking the people away. Yeah, there's a castle there. It's currently occupied by gnolls. Kill the gnolls. It's Baldur's 1. You're a monster.
I get that. I wish that the game would tell me something like that. I have a very mechanical mind because I got into RPGs through war games. So like when it comes down to like do I play it like entirely narrative, or is there some sort of intended rules? And it's like, if it's entirely narrative, then I'm always gonna err on the side of like, well, I don't want to make it too much of a bother, so it's gonna be too easy, right?
I can see that. I don't have. I don't know. I think this feels weird to me. It makes so much sense to me, right? It has rules for like, oh yeah, if you take over a fortress and the survivors survive, here's your rules to have the survivors, maybe join you. Here's the rules for them not to. So it heavily implies kind of this Conan the Barbarian-esque setting defaultly, in which you're not going ahead and setting out and, setting up your fortress with stone and rubble and hiring your masons and whatever. You're going to the Sorcerer King, you're going to marry his daughter, and you're going to murder him. Then you're going to kill his daughter and sacrifice him to Yogg, and everything's good.
And
Very
you can
standard.
actually canonically build libraries and research spells to more properly sacrifice people to Yogg. And that part of the book was actually really cute, where it's going in depth about like, oh, to research a spell, you should have access to a library, and you can find a library, or you can just build one if you've got hella cash, and you can make like magical items, and you can start making a workshop. Like, the magic management side of this seems really intuitive. It's probably because there's not massive lists of tables that list out different merchandise like gems or pigs, textiles, and then their base cost. It's literally just like level, magic research level, like what you need. It's a lot simpler. So the finance side to me is a nightmare, but reading the magic research and like building the libraries, that part's really like wholesome.
I can agree with that. It's really wholesome to go ahead and research ways to pass souls and torture the unborn. It's great.
I mean, that's standard magic. That's page 1. You open up the prologue. Yeah, that's prologue stuff. That's low hanging fruit.
If it doesn't include an obscene fertility rite, are you really doing it?
No,
well, there are. One of the punishments for arson and burglary is being transformed into a horrible hell beast.
Yeah, like there's a certain type of person who's just gonna be like, oh no, please. I broke into this person's house and stole an apple. Please don't turn. Gosh, please, for the love of God, don't turn me into a monster. Please.
Oh no, oh no.
Beans.
No.
Pants are falling off right now as we speak.
I love it when my coworkers steal the joke that I made in our Discord group chat an hour ago.
What was the joke that was made?
I mentioned, I was like, this would be you in this setting. It would be like, oh no, Mr. Guard, I hope you don't arrest me and turn me into a cool monster demon. Oh no, I'm so
Oh.
guilty. Oh, I fell while running away. Oh gosh.
Oh no! Please make me into an androgynous goat monster.
please don't curse me under a full moon. Oh no.
You're just really ruining this for me right now.
Yeah,
I'm trying to have fun tormenting like an innocent captive, and you're just. I'm just not into this anymore.
You know what you could do? I mean, the solution is the wonderful like chimera solution.
Mm.
I mean, if you have a captive, there's no rules say you can't merge that captive with something else.
That's another kink. That's another one.
But merge them with a chair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, wait, no, that's a kick. Fuck.
That's a
That absolutely is.
way
Hold up.
kickier. Stop that.
The
What are you gonna
only
do next,
thing-
Fox? Merge them with underwear? Jeez.
The only
No.
wholesome thing we have left in the world is walking to the bread store with our gals.
That's true. I love
Bread is
going.
not a thing.
I love going to the supermarket and buying $400 Wonder Bread.
That's all we have that hasn't been corrupted.
Yeah, that's the only truly wholesome thing left is like going to the store past the cut down rainforest and all the starving brown people
I
to
don't
get
like
the $500 Wonder Bread.
That's Rabbit
For
Trunk.
the people who don't get the joke, there's a fetish artist or fetish commissioner out there somewhere who commissions exactly what we're talking about.
That's literally all they do, and it's a little bit concerning.
I'm glad President Kanye banned that sort of thing.
Comrade
Kanye, get it right.
Comrade Yeezy, Premier for Life of the United Socialist States of America.
Of course.
You know, we have like a bread store here, like 3 different ones. Like just bread, and that's correct.
It's called a bakery.
Hey, you know what? It's not a bakery if they don't bread, okay? What if
It's
it's
called
like
a bakery.
we have bread depots, okay?
Wait. What the fuck?
I'm just imagining a Home Depot with big pallets of like baguettes.
Well, okay, you know where they go ahead and like store all of the bread that they're gonna ship out to all the supermarkets?
That's not a bread depot. That's not what that
Well,
is.
it's a depot. No, it is. It's a depot where they keep bread.
Yeah. And then they have
Oh
a
my
little store
God.
attached to it, and then they sell like old bread ultra cheap.
A bread depot is literally a descriptive term for a place where they store bread.
Oh no.
My pantry is a bread depot. You can build bread depots in ACKS.
Oh, you couldn't you?
You could.
But wait, is there a penalty for that?
No, there's not a
Why-
penalty for it. I mean, there's a cost for it, but there are no bonuses for any of the structures you can build.
Oh.
They're expected to be self-evident, I guess.
Oh no, I
Bread
rolled
prison.
a nat 1 at bread depot.
I mean, it makes sense if you don't have a prison. Like, you need to build a prison, and there's no bonuses
Well,
for that.
that's
because
the
if you
thing.
don't have a prison, you can't.
No,
put
but that's
people
the
into there
thing,
and
like-
turn them into a monster.
But that's the thing. The fact is, like, you build the structures and they cost a massive amount of money, but all they do is like fill a list on like a settlement sheet or something. They don't
Oh,
actually
yeah.
like have any like mechanical effect on the world.
I could not.
I assume what they're there for is like, you know, oh, you make it up for yourself, but then like, why is the taxes and the population density so heavily legislated when building like a palisade wall doesn't have any mechanical effect?
Yeah, I could not for the life of me find out what a palisade does.
If you're attacked, it affects.
No, but that's
you know,
not written in the book. We all understand. We know what a palisade is. But
okay.
it's not written in the
wow.
book.
What I'm saying, it needs to be written because it's about your tactical map. This is a D&D game. Bucks, think in tactical map. It's halfway.
That's not the point. Like, it's part of the settlement building. So, like, if it's going to be part of the settlement building is going to be so deeply legislated, then obviously, if you have the fucking palisade, it's got to have some sort of mechanical effect in that. Even if it is just as a tactical map, you have to write down that it just goes on the tactical map.
I guess it would.
Bucks, you really approach like.
I have a mechanical brain. I play war games.
You approach old school Renaissance rules like, oh my gosh, this is my dating sim, and I need like my +3 on my stats.
No, I don't want it to be a +3. I just want them to tell me what it's fucking for. I understand what a palisade is. I imagine that building a palisade around my settlement makes it harder somehow. But what I want to know is, how do they want that to factor into the gameplay?
Yeah,
How do they intend it to factor into the gameplay?
Does it
Even
give
if I
attackers
ignore it-
disadvantage? What does it do? We don't know. We know that the expense for the garrison is 2 gold pieces per family, and the expenses for taxes are 20% of urban revenue, and we know that the tithes are 10% of urban revenue, but we don't know what a palisade does.
Yes!
The palisade keeps the goblins from walking in and carrying
But they
away
don't
your
write that down! That's
That's what
not
the
written
GM
anywhere.
Like, I'm just confused here. You clearly want to play a GM-less game here.
No, I don't. I don't care. It's the fact is, like, why is it that all of this other shit is so, like, strictly legislated when the palisade, like, a defensive structure, has no purpose?
I mean, it sounds okay. So I'd argue this is
Like,
one of those...
maybe building a wall has a knock-on effect where it, like, increases tax income, like, ever so slightly. I don't really care that much about it.
Yeah, wouldn't it be okay? So in that case, let me go and break it down to you. This sounds like something that a fun group, right? I guess this would really just depend on the GM, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It all really depends heavily on the GM, which is why I would never play ACKS.
You don't
I would
like
have
people
to. I would
who
have
follow
no.
their rules?
No, I'd have to run it myself because that's the only way that I'm going to be satisfied with it.
You know, I can understand that.
Because there's not an intended way to do things, and if there's not an intended way to do things, I'm going to find issues with every way everyone else does their thing.
Since the palisade is made of wood, spending all of this gold on the palisade actually makes it easier. It gives attackers advantage to burn your settlement down.
No, but you cover your palisade up with like
Mud.
plaster and shit. Yeah, you
Not
cover it in
plaster.
mud.
Plaster's flammable. You use what? Mud.
Oh, no, you use like that. You use like
Linoleum.
PC's brick. I forget what it's called. And then you whitewash it.
Oh yeah, there you go. You got it.
Why not linoleum?
Can you imagine? Okay, stop. Okay, hold up. Linoleum?
Can you imagine having like a medieval world where like everything is like totally like 1400s shit, right? Nobody has anything good. There's no like technology basically.
Yeah.
But the petrochemical industry is like modern. Like there's fucking like cracking towers and like modern like oil pipelines going everywhere. So everyone can have like linoleum floors in their mud huts. But like otherwise everyone's fighting with like swords and spears and they're all wearing like leather armor.
Yeah. Oh, but hold up. They definitely got that fake. They definitely got that suede shoe going on though. Like, can you imagine? Hell yeah! Someone walking up with combat boots, like medieval combat boots, except it's all blue suede. Fuck, you kidding?
Yeah.
Wood pipes full of
I
petrol.
just want to have those freaking Czech city ordinances like all peasants must coat their walls in fresh linoleum thrice yearly, lest their houses be a what was that? Like a sore upon the eyes of their betters.
Sounds like RimWorld now, where you're doing a tribal start, but you're playing with the Rimafeller mod.
Yeah.
Tribal start in RimWorld.
You just rush the fucking like petroleum cracking technology, and like everyone is just like sitting around like cooking over a campfire, and then there's just like a giant oil refinery sitting next to them. I feel like that's something that happens in Fallout.
That is a Fallout thing.
Like some random group of tribe people is like running an old like oil plant or something, but they're just like banging rocks together otherwise.
Can you imagine? Like they find out that petroleum is like a bunch of like yo god, like hold up, wait, they find out that it's flammable, and so they think it's a god. You can't get angry at it or it will explode.
Well, it all goes back to Gamma World again. You know?
We're back to Gamma World.
It all goes back
once
to
again.
Gamma World.
Well,
And
that's some Gamma World shit.
That's some
you got
fucking
your
Gamma
oil,
World shit.
You have your great slick juice, and everybody knows that it's bad to smoke near it. Can't smoke this bed near it. And, it's really great. Everybody loves it. It's a natural part of the environment. It grows from the metal trees.
You know what? This whole conversation is giving me the same vibe as Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, which is my favorite D&D adventure.
Talk about that.
Expedition to the Barrier Peaks is a D&D adventure where you investigate a crashed alien spaceship.
Ooh, is that in? That's not an ACKS. That's in a what's?
No,
what's
it's Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
Old
that's
timey.
That's
It's
classic Dungeons and Dragons modules. It's is it D&D module 8? Have to look on this.
I think it's 3.
Oh man, I gotta find that out.
I put the settlement only on blast a lot, but one of them that I do find interesting is when you build in chaotic domains, because instead of boring humans who care about like precious gems and textiles and like shedding the wool off of sheep, you build like cool beastmen, and instead of just like building a town and having a mayor, you have to like
You have an evil pit full of goblins, and you have to raid other kingdoms for your money.
Yeah, you have to like hire a chieftain as a henchman, and if they're like, I don't know about that one, then you just like kill them and you install a puppet chieftain, and you have to like, I don't know, it feels a lot more adventure-y to like manage these beastmen than it is to worry about, you know, upgrading your village to a large village.
The evil gameplay seems like a lot more fun because it plays really heavily into that whole like orcs are Satan worshipping savages thing that I like. Because like you got like the goblins, right? And they're your evil boys, and they're your basic unit, your basic laborer as like the chaotic village, right?
Yeah.
And then like yeah, all right. So there's something we didn't touch on. In ACKS, once you're at like the kingdom level, you could start like hiring like armies and maintaining armies and stuff, right? Well, the goblins, each race has its own like specific like set of units that they can recruit, right? The goblin ones very much favor numbers because they're incredibly cheap, right? But you can also get other races like beastmen and orcs. And I'm 100% down for that. Just like having just a generalized all-purpose army of just like evil jerks to just like roam across the land and shove peasants into lockers and like take all their valuables and stuff.
Yeah, like that stuff sounds really cool. It's the type of settlements that come with like their unique drawbacks that kind of draw my interest. Like the elves too, they can't build these sprawling cities. They have to build like these really like nature reserves, and they have to run around and kiss all the trees, and all of the animals in that area will be friendly to you, and they'll like snitch on any intruders that come in to try to mess with you. And like so, like thieves and spies suffer penalties when they try to spy on the elves, because like a deer will see them and then like sprint to the elf king and be like, "Whoa, I saw something sus going on over there."
That's a long drawn out honk, and Madrona's just like, yes.
Well, that's the noise that deer make.
I do like deer noises. You're correct.
the dwarves, they have to build underground vaults, and they have to live in them, and they have to make stuff.
And no non-dwarves can live there. They're like, I guess, super xenophobic.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, maybe all the ceilings are too low. They can't fit.
Way too low.
Oh,
Wait, snitch. Oh my gosh.
So the humans walking to the vault, and they're like, why can't you just make the ceiling higher? And the dwarf is like, that's not on the blueprint!
It says 5 feet.
If you aren't a short king, we don't want you comfy in here.
Yes, exactly.
Only respect for short kings.
I disagree. Respect for all kings.
Yeah, but
Which is all men. All men are kings.
Oh, we're our queens. I wanna. What's the male equivalent of thought?
I don't know. It's a double standard. There's no.
He's a himbo.
No, himbos are good.
Himbos are good.
Yeah, it's a thunk either. I mean, it could be a thunk.
If he breathes, he's a thunk.
Pronounced twunk.
Comrade, I'm gonna allow that. Comrade is informing us that thought is unisexual. I can accept that.
It's possible.
It could. You might be correct.
No, I agree. I can get behind that.
You know what? I think we can. Himbo should also be unisexual.
No, himbo has very specific connotations.
Yeah, but bimbo has very specific connotations, and those are all bad.
Part of himbo's specific connotations is that it's a man who is pretty and dumb.
I wish I was pretty and dumb.
And also really nice.
Really nice, yeah. That's a necessary part of it. Pretty and dumb and mean is just like being shallow. We already have a word for that.
Yeah, it's called being shallow. It's called being a jackass. Big dumb kind.
Speaking of, you can sell donkey in the market in ACKS.
Yeah.
They're not worth very much.
Okay.
And
it's just very valuable.
Donkeys are valuable, to be honest.
I also really like the management of building a hideout when you're an assassin or a thief, and like you have all these level 0 henchmen running around that you're like, all right, I'm gonna send you to steal, and you're gonna commit an arson, and you're gonna rob a bank, and then you have to like, I put it on blast in the beginning, just to kind of remark on the depth of it. But you can like hire an attorney to lower the penalty for your thieves when they get caught. So instead of being like beheaded, they just pay a fine or whatever. And like that's like a whole mini game in and of itself. It's just like the thief mechanics, and it's just everything that isn't tainted with finance and marketplaces and income via urban sprawl. It's like
not
really
fun
adventurous.
for you, but I'm like an accountant, so.
I will agree with this. Like, that stuff this is interesting, because, like, I know you're not exactly you're not deep into the shit storm that is, like, 2nd edition, 1st edition, like, management shit, which does exist. All of this does a mass expansion of the rules that are there. In fact, I think it's based on a specific supplement that I forgot the name of, which is, it's like, if you ever go to those random generator things for like generate a settlement, they're using rules from like an OG D&D book about settlement generation, which is still one of the greatest things of all time. But
I love settlement management, but not in the middle of my adventure game. You know, it's like I love Dwarf Fortress and I love city builders, but when I play like Skyrim, I downloaded a mod that lets me build a settlement. And I'm running around like doing decrees, and I'm like, I want to go out and kill a dragon.
Well, that's the thing, is this is after you've leveled up past that point. You know, you're may not seem like it.
It's a dragon, but that's a certain mod.
It may not seem like this from like looking at level 9, looking at modern D&D, but remember the max level in this is 14. Like,
True.
this is somebody who's gone through an adventuring career and then is striking out to try to found themselves a settlement. They're trying to conquer themselves, name drop there, a place to expand from there, and then you're expanding past there and you join together as a group and using this as a base of operations,
Why not start
for
as
it. It's
that?
also optional.
Why not start as that though? And
Yeah,
We
involve-
could.
that's my problem with it. Is like all that stuff that they put so much effort into only comes in at the end of the game. And it's like it feels to me like it would be more cohesive if they've found a way to work it in at level 1.
I think, I guess so, but my thing is that wouldn't reflect the source material. It would not in the SARS.
I get it, but like it's not trying to be a carbon copy of the source material. It's trying to be an expansion of it, right? So if they're gonna work it in at level 1, they could start it. They could start it as humbly as they want without like making it go crazy. But like I think that level 9 is just a little bit too late to be introducing such complicated new mechanics like that.
So what you're
I mean,
saying,
I
it needs to be a
see
part of the
that.
game at the beginning, right?
Yeah, it needs to be a part of the game at or near the beginning.
Even if it's only like you have like one crumbling village that you can build over time, and you can like run around an adventure, but like integrating it, like integrating it in the whole experience, and not just like making 2 separate games and then just having a transition in the middle of it.
See, I really enjoy that. I like the idea of games like that. Like the one of the games that I GM for and I really should get back to has it kind of turned into a settlement building thing out of the blue. So like to have a rule set for that, yeah, that's great. But I'm kind of agreeing with you. Level 9 is you're halfway through a campaign, or not even, right? You may be already towards the end of a campaign at level 9, depending on your GM.
Well, here's the thing. It's not set for a campaign. You're thinking about this through modern D&D ideas and lenses, in which you have this plot arc that keeps growing and changing.
Yes.
Like, you're not thinking about this through old school rule setup, which is either your character fucking dies, or they become powerful enough that they want to retire. And it's permitting a continuous thing. It's like Pendragon without lineage rules.
Because Pendragon does it way better because you have access to all these mechanics from day 1.
Yeah, like
Pendragon's trying to do something different. Like, this is very different. Like, this is very much OG D&D.
I get what you're getting at here, but the thing is that it's just not integrated into the game in a way that would make it fun.
That makes sense.
I think that's something
It's
that
not
would...
like I'm coming from the standpoint of someone who actually prefers AD&D, and like this is not what I would want as like an after campaign. You get what I mean?
Okay, I see what you mean.
See, maybe I can see that. Like, this, I do have the issue that I wouldn't want to transition between these two, but I see exactly where it comes from and why it exists. Because it's like I would have it come in lower and have more focus on it. Frankly, I think it's necessary for like a Conan the RPG type thing.
You know what is a thing that does this sort of thing way better to me?
Reign and Cured again?
Dungeon?
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, what I'm talking about is there's a adventure campaign thing for Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing called Renegade Crowns.
Oh.
And it involves you going out into the Border Princes at level 1 and like beginning to start. It's basically like a hex crawl, only it's also settlement building. And you adventure to level up the settlement and so on. And you spend money on it, you build buildings and you attract people. And it's this whole soup of like politics and adventuring, and all this other fun stuff. And I think it does it way more in much more of an interesting way than ACKS does.
Yeah, because I was thinking while reading about all this and how it starts at level 9, I was thinking like it would be. I feel like it would be seamless, or as close you could to seamless, if it start like at level 1, it said like, all right, you have this dilapidated, crappy stronghold, like your Thieves Guild or whatever, and you can choose to slowly upgrade it from that low level, or you could just kind of ignore it if you want to go off adventuring and then come back to it later. But like even from the very beginning, it's sort of there in the background, and you can choose how important to make it before you hit that level 9.
Yeah, and honestly, likely you wouldn't want every single like player. If you're in a party, actually, if you want to know the real thing that I had issue with is you basically want whoever you decide to have your actual leadership thing be the person who does the leadership thing, because a party would fracture if absolutely everybody does their own guild thing. It's one of the weirder things about the setup, even in old AD&D.
A lot of you will have opposing goals and stuff if you all start doing your own thing.
Like, it wouldn't
True.
be so bad if one of you was, say, let's say you had a cleric of Sylvanas and you had a druid. Oh, hey, let's go to a grove that has a temple on it. One of you fell right into the temple, the other one's got to vie for dominance for the carnal part of Sylvanas' stuff, you know? Easy. But what the f do you do if you have a paladin of Torm who's like, dude, I've got a big hammer and I like the law? And then you've got a thief, and they're like, yeah, let's go off and found our hall
I'm gonna
of
start
justice.
a thieves guild.
And our guild of pickpocketing rich people. You know, it doesn't work together.
See, I see where you're coming from, and I feel like there's a way that they can interact, right? Like the characters that have like the different opinions and stuff like that. But the unfortunate part is I don't see it, right? I don't see it as a huge part of the game. I've run into situations where different players will have different mindsets about it, and they work out fine, right? But there definitely is an expectation that someone is gonna bow out of doing the fun thing, though, and I guess that would be the problem with this system.
Yeah, that's the real problem, is that they have to choose at a certain level between party cohesion and like continuing the game and like following their character, and that's not a good position to be put in any RPG.
Yeah, and I would hate to put anyone into that position either. As a GM, that just sounds like it's going to be unfun for someone.
Gotta learn how to be bossy like me. Like, nope, you don't get to build your guild. Sorry.
Or maybe.
Oh, that feels bad too.
Oh yeah, no, because it's not fun to be that guy.
I prefer to try to do the dance on the line between wanting to give everyone the chance to do whatever they want, and then also trying to guide them to do things that works well together. And I don't succeed all the time, but I think it's better to try that than it is, because you can mitigate some of the problems that result from these sorts of mechanics by like clever game design. But I don't think that the goal of this game was to mitigate those effects.
I think the goal of this game was just to have a very, very specific mindset with how to play.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, to be honest.
I don't hate it. I think it's, as far as like D&D stuff goes, it has more of the stuff that I like in it than most other D&D things. But I just don't like how separate the king part of the game is from the Conqueror and Adventurer parts of the game.
Yeah, I think Comrade has a point there. This is is it unfair to me to go ahead and say this is tacked on to D&D? Like
I feel like that's tacked on. It's like fully fleshed out. Like it's a whole thing.
Might as well be its own game.
Okay, gotcha.
Well,
So it
here's
isn't
the thing
chess.
about D&D, right?
Yeah.
Bit of explanation. I've gone ahead, like, I went to a school that had game designers doing it. I've spoken with, like, Mike Pondsmith.
They were
I've,
doing it.
you know, all the stuff. One of the things that's kind of a joke in, like, game design circles is that Dungeons and Dragons had literally a system for absolutely everything.
Mhm.
Like, if you're playing second edition AD&D, it's like, oh, hey, you won't be a cleric. Well, here, look, you're going to use the turn undead table system, which uses a different set of rolls than normal things. Hey, you want to make a scion? We actually have totally different character generation that can kill you. Like, far easier than it happens in Traveler. Historical Traveler, when you can die during character creation. You can just do that all the time in Scion. You can also go ahead and become like an actual god because it uses a totally different rules for almost everything involved with the game. You reach level 9 and you have a different set of rules because now you're going ahead and doing management. You're doing ship-based combat, and suddenly D&D's lineage as a ship-to-ship combat game becomes incredibly apparent. There's situations which you use different initiatives. There's situations which you use literally different dice rolls for every single thing. You have the obvious, like, you roll 1d20
for
to
the-
attack, but
for the
you roll
uninitiated-
100 to a skill.
For the uninitiated, D&D was created out of a rule set called Chainmail, and Chainmail was created out of a rule set which I don't know the name of, which was designed originally for anti-tank combat. And then that anti-tank combat game was originally evolved from a ship, like a battleship combat game.
So
Yeah, I
D&D
think
has
so.
tank controls.
I think it's called
Yes.
like Dreadnought and like Iron, like, I forget what it was. I think the original one's called Dreadnought though, but yeah, that's also why you have like the to hit against AC0 and why armor class exists at all, which is kind of a weird thing only in D&D.
I actually, over the past week or so, studying for this, I actually came to the conclusion that THACO is way better than regular AC.
It is.
Because
No, it absolutely is.
THACO is what prevents the D20 from being truly random in a way that feels unpleasant. Because like the addition of negative numbers in the AC, and like AC meaning something totally different to like just like a threshold you have to pass, it's just like it changes the game in a way that I can't actually like articulate because I have to express it through numbers and I can't do that with my mouth.
Well, let me go ahead and explain this to Comrade Silly Otter. THACO is to hit against AC 0 or armor class 0. In older D&D, instead of having an attack bonus, you had an attack versus armor class 0. Defaultly, your THACO was 10, which means you had to roll 10 or better to hit 0. Normally, your attack bonuses were represented in what your roll would be. So, say if you had a 15 in your THACO, you'd have to roll a 15 or better to hit AC 0. Generally, lower numbers are better. For instance, if you had God, my brain isn't working here, but it's how armor class used to work. Armor class used to be based upon whatever the AC was, which was defaultly whatever your it's defaultly 0, if I remember correctly.
Depending on level, armor would
yeah, it depends
lower or
upon
raise
level.
it.
Yeah, armor lowers or raises it, and it's dependent upon level as well. Dexterity also affects it. It's very similar to how armor class works, but kind of inverted, and it's more like you're trying to reach a threshold rather than roll against an armor.
Yeah.
Effectively, it makes it a roll under system.
Basically, the process would be like you take their armor, right? You take the threshold, you add their armor bonus to it, you subtract your weapons bonus to it, and you try to roll over it.
Yeah. The reason why this is mechanically very different, it's not extremely different at low levels. Like, if you're going ahead and staying within that like +1 to +5 range, not much changes here. The big difference is in like a true modern 5 to 5th edition D&D system. If you had a +8 modifier, that would change your bonus from 1d20 +8, so 9 to 28 would be your roll range, right? If you have to hit against AC 0 as a system, that's actually not changing. You're changing what you're going ahead and rolling against. So you're changing your ability to penetrate the armor and hit, because just going against a threshold that is static. It was never ever bothered to be applied to skills or bothered to be applied to anything else. It was only an armor system where it kind of shines. It's very intuitive when you're using it and very difficult to explain.
The good part about it is that with Echo, you don't have this infinitely escalating series of modifiers that makes you more and more powerful as you level up, to the point where you can hit somebody at level who's at level 1 when you're at level 20 and they just vaporize. You don't get that option. People remain like a consistent level of threat, or a relatively consistent level of threat throughout the spread of levels. Like, a mob of level 1 characters can defeat you. In comparison, a mob of level 1 characters can still defeat you with Echo. In modern D&D, that's not really possible.
Yeah, it's old school D&D was a lot less godly, I guess. You didn't have this assumption that mooks were always mooks. Mooks could still kill you. Famously, one of the most famous thought exercises was turning kobolds into like the most lethal encounter. And this wasn't by giving like cool tricks to kobolds. This was by utilizing like tactics, ambushes, and traps, and simple things like pushing rocks off ledges and like crawling in holes, like things you could just do. And that's like the famous Tucker's kobolds experiment.
Things that were already incorporated into like the tactical combat in a way that wasn't just like narrative.
Yes.
Literally just like play them like you would play a large mob of low-level enemies as a player. And that makes them ungodly powerful. And
yeah, that's Tucker's kobolds, which is kind of that famous thought experiment. It wasn't a thought experiment, it was a DM called Tucker, I remember right. It's historically considered kind of a thought of experiment.
It was something that they did in their game.
It just sounds like kobold stuff. That sounds like stuff I'd expect kobolds to do.
Strictly speaking, it's not really a kobold specific thing. You can do it with any enemy. It's just that like if you apply the level of like, if you take into account the intelligence scores of the enemies that you're fighting, then they become incredibly like dangerous. Like if you consider like the average goblin's intelligence, they're much less intelligent than kobolds, but like the hobgoblins that usually are supposed to lead them usually have pretty high intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can imagine what sort of like tactics they would use, and then you can game it however you want. But if you play it like a war game, the enemies are going to be fucking horrifying.
Yeah,
especially with Echo.
Isn't that part of the action economy?
No, action economy is less of an issue. That's modern D&D. Modern D&D is heavily determined action economy. The general assumption is whichever side, if they're equal and like properly balanced with, assuming they're balanced for each other's level, whoever has more actions will win. So playing D&D optimally is like, I have to manage my actions to keep every action ideal, because there's going to be downturns. But depending upon movement, depending upon availability, there's turns when things can't go on. So for instance, you will lose if you run into like 8 Troll, even if Troll are lower than your CR, just because Troll in like say 3rd edition attack 16 times a turn. And they do 1 hit point, like they do 1 damage, but they have a 1% chance, assuming, they have a 1% or more chance of paralyzing you for 16 turns and then you're dead. Like,
Oh God.
Like that's an example of action economy being like, oh, you're going to lose. You never fight more than Jewel.
That sounds like a nightmare.
That's no, Jewel are awful. I have a thing about Jewel, right? I've only actually had
something that
two
you swap bad
characters.
players with.
Yes, I've had two characters die, and they both died because both times, it's a third edition module. I forget what it is. It's the third edition Forgotten Realms adventure path that they made. But the first one, at one point late into it, you run into one Jewel. My character has died both times I've run the adventure on that one.
Oh, God.
And it's the worst encounter. Like the worst encounter is a Willow. It was catastrophically bad luck because like I died in the exact same way both times, and it was like really. But like that, along with the Will-O-Wisp in that campaign, are notoriously where everybody dies. Like there's some analytics Wizards of the Coast put out that's long since hard to find on their website. You have to go through the Wayback Engine. In which basically they won because they had better actions than anybody else. And then the Will-O-Wisp won only because if you didn't have somebody with magic missile or a similar item that could target incorporeal entities, nobody could hurt it. And if players did just run away because it moves slow, they would just lose because it sat there zapping them every turn.
It sounds like a nightmare. That sounds like a fucking nightmare.
That's just
part of the reason vampires are so scary too, because they have legendary actions. They can just kind of do whatever they want.
Oh yeah, that's 5th edition. Older vampires have domination.
I'm sorry, I'm not with 5th edition.
The way 5th edition goes and tries to manage single monsters to be scary is to give them legendary actions, which is very different from earlier games' approaches. In which this is a response to 3rd edition, actually, because like previously a dragon was terrifying because the image was to a point where you could easily just be destroyed. You know,
just turn you
if
off.
a beholder shoots you with a disintegrate ray, you have a very difficult save versus wands or you're dead, period. If they shoot you with their flesh to stone ray, save versus wands or die. You know, that's just how it is. The game was horrendously lethal. 3rd edition tries to balance everything and gets rid of a lot of the things that used to be, walls against player progression for people who weren't properly prepared, like Rakshasa. You have a mage out of hand, Rakshasa show up. Now you literally cannot hurt them with magic. They will fuck you up.
Okay, so Rakshasa, I saw a picture of a Rakshasa once. Do they have backwards hands?
Yes.
Ah! It's the worst thing I can think of.
If you're a tiefling descended from a Rakshasa, your most common trait is to have your fingers bend backwards. Or to have double joints in all of your limbs that can bend in any direction.
Ew! I don't like it! My
favorite is the tiefling description in which all of your joints bend backwards, period.
Like, oh god, you're a backwards person. God made you in reverse.
The man with two.
Do they have any of these cool species in ACKS?
Yeah, that's why cat people are the best. When they have all of their joints backwards, that's how you make cat people good. Upgrades categories from worst furry to best furry.
Can I turn you off? Can I turn this? I don't want this conversation.
Volume all the way down.
Like, just let me remove Madrona from this podcast very quickly, so I can condemn to double.
Oh no! Somehow Madrona got banned, but only from the specific chat. Whoa!
No.
Madrona says, "Oh no." I'm not gonna ban Madrona. Madrona's a really good friend.
I'm flushed down the toilet. It's okay. I am now coming to you from the toilet zone.
Man, I wish I could be in the toilet zone right now.
Do you want to go into the toilet zone?
Great.
Not really.
I was worried about me being put into. I was worried being put into the fucking. I was very worried about being put back into the flame chamber. It'd be my first time, and I don't want my skin removed. So
Yeah, it's not pleasant unless you're like me.
Unless you really like being in the flame chamber.
Well, my skeleton wants to come out.
God. Thanks
What
for
the
that
fuck is a
reminder.
bone? I don't
Bucks,
have any of those.
tell us about the turning people into crazy shark monsters.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. You're gonna have to do it.
Oh, Madrona, tell us about how you turn people into crazy monster hybrid.
This is that interesting. It has systems for hybridizing. It has a lot of the systems from old school D&D.
And,
One of
and as a
the
high level wizard,
things is hybridizing.
as a wizard, you get the ability to turn to magically hybridize two creatures, which is basically you do the alchemy thing where you know Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah. Oh God.
Turn the girl and the dog into girl dog.
Oh.
Yes.
No! Don't turn me into a dog! No!
This
Put me
is
in the bread. Oh, no.
No.
basically every single one of the classes will have some kind of way of getting minions. Wizards don't really get you get your shitty apprentices, but it's not like you're gonna get a soldier. So what do you get instead? If you're a necromancer, you get your skeleton army. But what are you gonna do if not? Anthropomorphic blink dogs.
Clerics get their minions, right? But like chaotic clerics can have skeleton armies. But wizards can have skeleton armies, but it takes them until a higher level in order to do that.
You can't just have a skeleton army at the beginning.
They're more suited towards having like magical hybrids or like demons or some shit.
I mean, that makes sense. Wizards are wizards. That sounds
How
very
do you-
on brand.
What are the mechanics for romancing one of the skeletons?
How can I romance a skeleton?
You're playing the wrong game for this. I can recommend the correct game. It's a different city managed game. It's called Rain Enchiridion. Well, it's just called Rain, but the Enchiridion is the light version of the rules, and in that, it's about horny romance and settlement building.
Finally, the game for me. I can finally romance a skeleton. Is that what we were looking for all this time?
I don't know.
I mean, what were you looking
I
for
want
at the end of the day?
Horny skeleton. I just want to like go out and have a nice evening with this skeleton.
Everyone asks werewolf. No one asks how wolf.
Or why wolf?
Oh, why wolf?
I think
He's a skeleton. He's a skeleton, not a skeletant.
I think the game you were talking about, Madrona, I think that's a future episode.
There's a couple that are actually pretty great out there. Like Rain's a neat one I was looking at.
I think I've had it, but I think I deleted it in like a rage at some point, and I don't know why.
I'm trying to remember there's actually a freaking romance RPG that I really want to find. It's about dark gothic romance, and I can't remember what it was called.
That actually sounds fucking rad, by the way. I don't know if you're
You're
aware.
playing just like a bourgeois noble, and your
Maybe-
whole gameplay is.
Maybe we'll do Wraith 2 at some point.
We should totally do Wraith through. Holy crap! Let's
Wolf,
abandon
yeah.
the plans. Wraith through forever.
What's our opinion on one of our another one of our viewers suggested us doing that one terrible furry one.
Extant Draconis.
Yeah, I like how I can just say that one terrible furry one and everyone knows what it is.
Well, there's only one terrible furry RPG.
The other ones are really
The
good.
other ones are really good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really good track record for furry RPGs. You got Albedo, Justifiers, Outer Sun or Other Suns.
I think out of all of
God.
them, Justifiers is the second worst, and Draconis is the actual worst.
Justifiers really good. It's just kind of not finished, kinda. Feeling.
Draconis has like really top tier art, but I mean some of its art is top tier. There's other art in that book which is not as great. But like it generally has like really good art and it's presented really well, but the actual rules and like the lore of the setting are really, really stupid.
We were going to play it once, like me and some
I was-
friends were going to play it. Was it you?
Yeah, it was me. I was thinking about like running it at some point because I wanted to see what it was like, and then I actually read the rules and I was like, "You guys, I'm sorry, this is really, really bad."
I didn't hear that part, but I knew it was going to be a bad game. Like, just if you want a sci-fi game where you can be a furry, just fucking play whatever it's called.
That's really helpful.
well, you could take the
Play. It depends on what you want. If you want like a war type game, then you want Albedo. If you want a like an exploration type of game, then you want to play Justifiers. If you want a
or Sons. Sons is probably pretty decent for that.
you know, if you want just like a regular just vibin RPG, and you specifically really like dog people, then you want to play Traveler, I guess.
If you just want to vibe, if you want to vibe out,
Yeah.
suggest Traveler.
But people are pretty great there. Just gonna say.
I mean, I know I know you have a specific Biden RPG. Yeah. No, don't bury the dog.
RPG. Oh my god.
I mean, in Traveler, there are
How did we
psionic
ban
warriors.
Comrades
Psionic
who-
warriors.
You can have psionic warriors in Traveler.
Can you have psionic
I think-
warriors in
Um,
ACKS?
Eclipse Phase is probably in my top 3.
Me
um,
sweating while desperately trying to get us back on track.
But Eclipse Phase First Edition is a fucking nightmare. Eclipse Phase Second Edition is excellent.
Oh, I'll keep that in mind.
I
That sounds
think
good.
Eclipse Phase is like a strange merger of. I want to love it a lot, but then I'm like, and then actually into this transhumanist crap. Just it
Yeah,
goes
because
over
you're
my head,
fucking
man.
boring. Boom.
Oh!
Can the
Yeah.
moon and ACKS have eclipses?
It can. Well, I assume so. They don't give you much of a setting to work with at the beginning. In
You know
ACKS,
what,
the basic
Sebastian?
setting. In ACKS, the basic setting is literally just there's an empire and it's ruled by humans, and then on the outskirts of the empire of humans, there's like a dwarf and an elf kingdom. And the empire of humans is decadent and it's falling apart because they're beastmen and monsters and evil wizards taking over the whole
They're
country.
too busy. They're too busy drinking their wine and sucking on the teat of rich bougie bullshit in order to go ahead and actually do anything. So it's just understandable. That sounds like a fun setting.
It's very basic. They tell you that you should probably make up your own setting, but if you don't feel confident in doing that, they give you like a really basic one to work with.
I like that.
Yeah, they give you like basics first D&D setting, except that dragons aren't ultra cool for some reason, and gods.
kind of like dragons. I know, hot take. I
No,
kind of like dragons.
Dragons are the
Oh,
worst.
well, never mind. I don't have anything to say.
Please don't put me in the flame chamber. I can't stand it. No.
However,
I like
I have to go ahead and say, you know what? Traveler lets you play uplifted dolphins in power suits too.
Yeah, it's true.
They're a little bit faster.
You know, Madrona, I was gonna interrupt and say that, but then I was like, wait a second, we're talking about the actual game we're talking about. So I went to go type it, and then you just said it out loud. I stole it from my mind.
so
You spoke it
sorry.
into being.
No, I am always anti-dragon. Dragon need to go back to alt.dragon fan. I don't need fruit in my fandom.
Delicious. I personally like dragons. I think dragons are cool. But whatever happens, happens, to be honest.
I like suns with sunglasses on them.
Suns with sunglasses are pretty good. Completely inoffensive. If you're looking for a persona that's gonna take you to the long term, like fruit. I do like fruit. I'm a pineapple guy.
I do remember one time I don't want to put them on blast or
Put
anything.
them on blast.
but
Put them on blast. Blast them up.
I was shown this person who very active member of this foray community,
Foray.
and their persona was a sentient light summer jacket.
That sounds lovely. Convert them
Shock
into new friends.
Silence.
What do you mean convert them into new friends?
Well, we were just discussing this.
We were
There's a
just
lot-
discussing how to
Yeah.
discussing how to
if you reach
magically
level
hybridize people.
9,
Oh yeah, we
if you
can
reach level
hybridize
9
them.
as a wizard, you
Oh
can
no!
start
Don't turn me
singing
into a
your
light
first-
summer jacket.
Shut up!
Oh no! Don't turn me into a muscly opossum.
No, I can't. No, don't. Don't do this to me. It is someone's It is someone's fetish. We know it's someone's fetish. Oh no. Oh no.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make you call yourself out.
Friendification fetish. Okay, we're stopping this now. This is over.
What? Friendification fetish is your kink.
Yes, I know. It's getting a little too hot under the collar in here. I can't do this anymore.
Well, slow
I
down.
fucking was handling.
Oh no.
No, Madrona, I can't do this. You can't do this to me.
Oh,
Can't call out your disgusting hand-holding fetish.
oh no, you can't do this to me. No.
You can't. I'll be in my bunk.
Oh, Mr. Gar, don't hold my hand as we go to the dungeon. Well, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it is exactly that anime thing.
I think the dead air immediately after you said that was the funniest part of that, though.
Wow, thanks. I love that my failure at comedy is fun. Let's all laugh at me.
No, I'm not laughing with you. I'm laughing with you, not
Okay.
at you. Okay.
Hey,
Freudian slip there.
hey, let me.
Yep, fine. I'm laughing at you.
Hey, let me reel this in. I'm actually very curious. I do want to go ahead and like put us back on track very quickly. Hey, did we make a character for this setting?
I don't think we did.
Oh,
No, I was going to.
okay,
but then
we'll do
didn't.
that next
I
week.
was gonna lie if I was the only one that.
New segment. Next time we record this, we're going to do a thing where we have recorded a character and talk about it. That's what Brad's talking about.
Yeah, that's gonna be a new part of it because I think the going through the character creation is gonna take 6 hours of most games. But having if you well, that's fair.
Only Eclipse phase.
Only Eclipse phase. You're right.
Only first
And
edition.
it's
Second edition is good.
Years.
You're right. You know what? You're right. Second edition is good. I have very rose tinted glasses on Eclipse Phase first edition though, because I was able to play a very angry Russian in a corgi corgi morph or whatever.
That's so bad.
He was fun. He was very fun and very angry. And I loved him to death.
And when he says corgi, he doesn't mean like a humanoid, like a furry or whatever.
No.
He means like an actual like smart dog with its brain pan hollowed out and replaced with a computer.
Exactly. Corgi morph, aka Korf.
Aww.
Korf. Yeah, but yeah,
I'm crying.
I'm crying her for real now. It was a fun game. I really enjoyed that. But what's the flexibility? So we didn't make a character for ACKS, right? What's the flexibility for character creation in ACKS? Is it stiff?
There's basically no flexibility because it's D&D.
I can give you an overview because I actually read the section much more than this. Alright, so character creation's fun, but it's D&D. This means you have a bunch of classes. You've got, your fighter, your thief, your cleric, and your mage. Those are your 4 classes.
You only get 4?
There's only 4 core classes. However, those are just for humans because only humans can have classes.
Racist.
Only
The other
humans
races
have 3 classes.
The other races have 2 classes.
Yes, the other races have 2 example classes each, which is like
you can make
dwarf.
up your own, and you're encouraged to make up your own, but those are the ones in the book.
Yeah, they actually have like 4 example classes for like specialist things with an assassin, and they're actually conversions mostly of kits from second, or I think they're kits from second edition. I can't remember actually. I need to go look up whether they're kits or they're more extensive conversions. But
the idea of it is that classes are like a societal construct, and that if you're gonna have like dwarves and elves and stuff, they should have a society that is separate and different enough to have its own classes.
So classic RPG stuff is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
it's very AD and not. It's very not AD&D and D&D either.
it kind of reminds me of like a lot of games, a lot of MMOs these days have that kind of mindset, and for better or for worse, right? Some games are better, some games are worse. For that, I guess like the classic example that I can even think of these days is Conan X, not excuse me, Conan whatever, where like there's an entire species, this entire race, Stygians can't be tanks, which is neat.
They're old twink boys. They're
Yes.
old pampered twinks.
I want that twink obliterated.
I mean, listen,
no.
if you can't get down to the twink, then get down to the sickness. I play Necromancer.
Obliterated.
I want that twink obliterated. And that's good. It's a good way to be.
If I could do a Robotnik voice, you better believe I'd be doing that right now.
I still can't believe they found a voice actor to do Robotnik that well. Anyway, we got completely sidetracked again.
Anyway, the dwarf classes are Vault Guard and Craft Priest.
Craft Priest. All right, tell me about that. I'm hungry.
All right, so like a Craft Priest is a dwarf priest who, since they really like making stuff, the priests are people who make stuff super good.
Ooh.
So Craft Priest
cute.
automatically generates income, like passive income, because he's just always considered to be making stuff.
He's taking furry commissions on the side all the time. Got it.
I mean, he's probably like crafting rings and stuff.
I mean, it's
But basically, a Craft Priest is like a utility, like a skill monkey class, but who also has cleric powers.
That sounds actually kind of fun.
The sample classes have are all pretty neat. It's got like Blade Dancer, which is a temple warrior priest. Unlike regular clerics, because this is D&D, not modern fuckface, but D&D. Clerics don't get smash weapons. Clerics can't draw blood. Even evil clerics, they can't use knives. They can't use axes. They gotta use clubs, because if you draw blood, you're desecrating God's creations.
Yes.
Come on, man. It's no good.
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of
Break
like
their
that.
bones instead. And yes, no, honestly, one thing I hate about modern D&D, as soon as it hits 3rd edition, it's like, let's get rid of all weapon restrictions except for druids for some reason.
And
Yeah.
wizards.
Why can't
No,
Druid...
wizards do not have restrictions. They just don't have a lot of proficiencies to start.
Oh.
Oh god, I want to make a muscle wizard. Oh no. Here we go again.
Historically, however, it was like a lot of the classes had restrictions on weapons, and some of them didn't make a lot of sense. Like, why can't human mages learn to use a weapon that's not a sling or a stick? Why is a sling really easy to use when slings are legitimately incredibly dangerous weapons, but incredibly hard to learn?
I guess it's...
Are slings and crossbows considered simple weapons?
Hand crossbows are considered simple. No, they're exotic. Yeah, hand crossbows are exotic. And
I was talking about
slings
crossbows.
are simple. Crossbows are simple. Hand crossbows are exotic.
I wasn't talking about hand crossbows.
And yes, slings and crossbows.
You
are both
inserted the word hand. I did not.
I do not know how I heard it,
We'll let that twink here.
but,
You let that
but
twink
yeah,
in here.
it was kind of a shift in culture, and some of it I approve of. Like, sure, I don't give a shit. Have your kobold paladin. I think it's a little lame. I feel like that's I feel like kobold paladin's fine, but they're not in kobold culture. So why don't we have kobold classes? I like that idea.
It's not my game anymore, so I don't care. Is how I feel about it.
Yeah.
When it stopped being
it's
AD&D, it stopped being my game, so I don't care anymore.
What would a kobold class be?
Sorcerer, probably, I don't know, some kind of sneaky. See, that's the thing, because there aren't kobold classes because they're not a player race.
Fair enough.
There are kobold classes. Vux here has not read the complete book of humanoids.
No,
Freaking nerd.
no, I haven't. I didn't have it as a kid. Idiot.
Yeah, kobolds do not have the extensive culture to have deep magical studies. However, they can have sorcerous powers and have a pseudo mage that predates sorcery. They can be wild mages because that was the sorceress thing at the time. They can be thieves, but only in like really trap focused kits, and they have like a very defense focused fighter like thing. They also have the generic warrior and shaman, which are underdeveloped priests and underdeveloped fighters. They have broader skill sets.
You know what? You know what
That's
class?
interesting.
You know what class I actually really enjoyed? There's one of the Pathfinder rat folk classes was.
Oh, more dead air. Speaking of kobolds, or is my mic broken again? Let me check that.
I think you might be broken because I'm talking.
I think you might be broken because Rat's talking.
Yeah, you hear that? I'm talking.
Hello.
It was my mic. My mic was broken.
How does your
Rat was talking?
yeah?
And
Rat was
you
talking,
just
you just like,
shouted over him.
Hello, dead air.
I was gonna talk about a rat folk class, and then he just started talking over me. I'm like, well, I understand where I'm not wanted.
I thought it was sort of like a really mean joke. So I was like,
You
wait,
know,
what's happening?
I mean, I think it's an appropriate joke. This rat guy keeps talking about rat shit. You see me talking about deer classes?
Yeah.
What would
You know, we've got important classes
you
like
talk about druid
you know,
all the goddamn time?
that's not a deer class.
Is it
That's
not?
just
Is it
a
not?
friend. It's very, you know what a deer class is?
What's a deer
like
class?
expert bud eater. You know, browser like
Bud
browser.
eater.
That's a cud chewer.
Wow.
How about prancer? You know.
You know
You
what?
automatically roll all checks to identify what a road is.
You know what? You know what? You're right. I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about cud chewer. Cud chewer is very important.
Yeah. Also, like low flying pilot. I mean, old deer can fly, old gazelles can fly.
I don't know that.
They fly low to the ground and drop bombs on people. It's fact.
I do know that some species of southwestern deer in the United States can leap 20 feet into the air.
I've heard that. I'm fucked up. I'm
Look,
sorry.
gazelles can just fly, so like deer can fuck off.
I heard I heard no, you know what I'm doing? I'm saying it. Guys, listen, it doesn't matter what class you play as a Servine. They're all really dear to me.
Oh.
Thank you for coming to our podcast, and that's it for today.
No, fuck off. Fuck off with that. I'm happy with that pun. That was a very good pun. I'm very happy with it.
We're sorry to
That's a good
see Rat go from our podcast.
Yeah, I'm retiring, I guess.
You know, you're not having a very sunny
No, you're being
disposition
retired.
right now.
Sometimes I feel like I can still hear Rat's voice.
I'm being disappeared! Everyone, please!
I'm gonna retire you like a fucking replicant. That's a Blade Runner reference.
Oh
Rat? Never heard of him.
Marlon, I thought for a son, I think you shine light upon Rat, reveal him, illuminate his presence.
no!
Well, it's nighttime right now. You can't.
Yeah,
Wait, right? You're dead though.
my powers don't work at night.
Wait a second, how are you talking to us? Because like I'm pretty sure the sun descends into the underworld and dies.
I have a
because
headset
Orlok
in the
killed it?
underworld.
Yeah, he has a headset on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you don't even
Yeah,
have to
when
worry about
They
that.
have internet there.
Hell
yeah.
yeah, they have internet.
What do you think this is? A place without internet?
Like, Madrona, do you think they just don't have internet outside
Google
the
Fiber
United States?
operates in hell.
Internet. I didn't know trolls had internet. Is that so like, the dead spirit like monsters can look up porn or something?
Yeah.
I don't really know. Oh, okay.
I mean, it is hell. They can see what it. They can
Madrona,
do
do you
whatever
think
they want.
that they just don't have internet outside of Sartar?
Look, I don't know anything about Sartar. That's a bunch of primitive barbarians.
What about Tartarus? Do you think Tartarus has Wi-Fi?
I don't know, dude. Look,
Speaking
mine's
of
only
Tartarus,
7. I praise the red goddess. I worship the goddamn moon, and the moon does not set. The moon is always there and always a friend. So
Mm-hmm.
how
I agree with you.
does religion operate in ACKS?
How does religion? That's a good question.
Well, that would depend on the setting, and there isn't really anything written about it in the book.
Fun fact: there's actually no
yeah,
setting in X.
it
Oh, myth.
it's more about religious hierarchy. The setting is very standard,
There's
basically
an-
evil fantasy tropes.
Mm-hmm.
There's an implied like religion, kind of, in that like the cleric levels have various titles appended to them, and they're all like
Yeah, they're very
Catholic
generic.
ones.
That
But
actually sounds fun.
Catholic.
Honestly.
Wait, fuck yeah. I was thinking mage. I was thinking mages. Fuck me.
Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway,
Catholics are not mages.
Same thing.
Like, hold-
Catholics. No, I'll go
They're
on record saying
warlocks.
this. Catholics are wizards.
They-
All
they
of them.
both worship the dark gods.
Mm-hmm.
I know, because I walked past the Catholic church and I got hit with a magic missile, so.
No trespassing.
Get off my lawn!
She's getting fucking blasted.
You ever wanted to get
Wait, shit. Those aren't Catholic. Those are like Orthodox. They've got patriarchs,
Don't care.
Oh.
Don't care.
Don't care.
prelates.
Don't care. Because
So-
we're gonna get stuck in the weeds here if you explain this any deeper than you already have.
I think we've gone over all of the
Sorry.
major elements of ACKS.
I think we're stuck in the weeds.
So I guess you could say ACK. I think we're all caught up.
I think you could say that we've axed it a question.
Okay.
I think it's time we act upon the outro.
Oh, is
I think
is that that time
we
again?
should. I think we should give the axe to axe.
All right. What does everyone think about Axe?
Well,
6.5 out of a 9.2.
Commissar, yes, this person right here.
Moderna?
well, okay, so like ACKS is exactly what it seems to set out to be. It's very D&D, not even AD&D, a weird merger of some of the niceties of first edition, some of the niceties of second. It's got some more. It's got a lot of the customizability of second because there is some of that with like your proficiencies and your bonuses and how you choose things, but it's not like super cool ass customization. It doesn't have kits set up, but if you know anything about D&D, it is easy as fuck to make a kit. I don't want to turn undead. I want to turn into a werewolf, and bam, you're a grey druid.
Nice.
And you know, it's got all that things going. It's okay there. What it sets out to do is very blatantly expand upon the what widely regarded as the coolest aspect of old school D&D, which is, hey, you're a higher level adventurer. Now you get you can found a frickin' thieves guild or become an arc druid and have an impact in the world that isn't just being an eternal motor hobo saving the world. Instead, you know, there's an implication that you're not actually saving the world from the ultra evil that's dominating everything. Yeah, and I like that. I honestly like the transition. I like how it functions. I don't see an issue with it. I don't see the lacking base building. If anything, I think maybe a little bit too much detail. The thing is, that detail's there because that's the stuff as a DM I wouldn't be able to think of. Like, how the fuck do I balance taxation? I wouldn't know. This gives me a tool.
How do you get into taxation?
By owning some tax.
I understand now. I feel like
And, like, I appreciate that. Its magic's very old school D&D. Its combat's very cleaned up old school D&D. It has some solutions to systems. in old school D&D that just suck. Hey, I want to roll a skill. Well, they'll be use entirely different dice systems than I would use otherwise. You don't proficiencies in which half the proficiencies use totally different dice systems from anything else. They're all basically the same, or a modifier to saves for specific things, which is handy. It's nice. I like ACKS. It's OSR. If you like OSR, it's not a bad OSR.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like OSR, I mean, and you want a city management game, probably play a more modern one. There's a couple really good face stuff, like management shit. I don't know. It sets out what it does. It's still an old RPG based upon D&D. D&D's kind of still somewhere between like a system I love and a system that's the worst thing ever written. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to give a ranking for it. It depends upon where your personal love of very simple RPGs with bizarrely complex and in-depth systems that are not matched in RPGs 10 times the length.
I feel that.
And if you're one of those nerds who's like, I don't like Forgotten Realms, I don't like using D&D settings, Frank couldn't do better than ACKS because it's not made for those settings.
Yeah, maybe if I played it, I might get like a more intuitive feel of the flow of it. But it really was like reading two different game manuals, because there's the whole adventuring side and then there's the whole city management side, and there's a lot of interesting stuff stuck in there, but it might just be a personal preference of mine. Like, I remember when I was playing Assassin's Creed, the one where you're in Italy and you have to assassinate Italian merchants or whatever.
Yeah, that one.
And I was running around assassinating people, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you need to build up this little town right here. And I'm like, but I want to stab Italians. So it just seems like a big juxtaposition to me. And it's like, but there are elements of it that seem really cool, like building a domain and hiring beastmen and having to like manage the loyalty of the beastmen chiefs, and then sending your thieves out kind of like as a tactical RPG, TTRPG. That stuff seems cool, but I might just have a bias against finance because my eyes started to glaze over, and I kind of took a break from reading when I was reading about income versus expenses in the ratio of rolling per family within the town, and then rolling to see how many families you have in the town, and then rolling with modifiers to see all this and that. And oh my gosh, that stuff, I don't know. But it's cool that you do have a choice in a way, but from what I seem to have gotten, if you don't build up your settlement and you don't collect taxes, then you're not going to have a hard time. So I just feel like there's two different games here that are slotted together, and it could probably use a little bit more ironing out. But there are people that like that kind of stuff, so more power to them.
I think there's a place for it, because not to go ahead and intercede again, like part of the reason for that is having it random, having it be a pressing thing, is you start out your adventure arc, every couple weeks. At first you do your roles, you check your settlement, you figure out how everything's doing, you get your DM has, some people roll really badly. It's like, well, I gotta find out why my serfs in that quarter are unable to pay money, and the DM's like, well, why not? Well, maybe they've all their children are kidnapped and they're paying ransom and they never told you. Oh, well, you know what? You're the king. Are you send your minions, or is this a big enough deal to send yourself? His finances good? Maybe you have to go try to rival them. It adds in those adventure aspects again. So you have to go out and do things, because this isn't like modern city builder sim. This is set up like freaking Conan, where your high dude still needs to go out and punch a dragon now and then.
Mm-hmm. every so often, you just got to go out there and prove there's a reason why you're the king.
Exactly. Kings rule by might.
And I like that. Gail, what do you have to say about the system?
I basically like it. It carries over a lot of the stuff that I like from older D&D.
Mhm.
I don't. I have criticisms for it, namely in that the adventure and conqueror portions of the game seem to be kept very separate and far away from the king portion of the game. I understand that it's not really meant to be like so heavily integrated into the game because it's not their intention really, but their intention doesn't really make for like a really interesting game to me. But I think it's like on the whole like pretty enjoyable. It's well presented. There's nothing in it that really like sets me off. And like I don't know. I would enjoy it about as much as I would enjoy any like earlier D&D game. So solid. 8.6 out of 10. Too much water. That's all I have to say about it.
Makes sense. Excuse me. I really like it. But half the reason why I like it so much is that it puts an onus on the players. I'm a huge fan. Like I GM, right? At the end of the day, I really enjoy GMing. I wish I had more time for it. But one of the things that I think is important is a sense of, hey, I own this, right? This is my thing. And while it's really cool to be just your character when you play a game, I think that having the portion about managing your resources and managing your city, I guess, right, can go ahead and make a huge difference with the concept of I'm my character. This is what I'm invested in. These are the things that my character cares about. I think that's important. I think that's very, very high up on the list of things that keeps me wanting to play the game, right? If I feel I'm just a dude, right? There's plenty of reasons to be just a dude, right? But again, it's investment. Why do you keep coming back to the table every week? And I think having that concept of having the investment with your characters and having the investment of your individual, like basically what you do on a day-by-day basis is a lot more interesting, a lot more important from here and there. But that's me. That's my hot take. I think it's important. I think we've done it.
I think we've done it.
All right.
Hey, let's go.
Hey,
what are we working on? What's everyone doing?
I'm not working on anything right now, but I do want everyone to know that it is yours world and he is the man.
Ah, yes, of course.
Well, I mean, I'm still working on the same things I talked about before, but I'm working on a giant robot, giant cyborg RPG about mental illness called Aeon.
It has come to mind for me that I am going to run a freaking Cyberpunk 2020 game. Because
You've spoken into law now. You have to do it.
You have to do your
yeah, I've spoken to law, so I have to do it. I even know people I'm going to invite.
Am I invited? Sad face.
I don't know.
Sad.
I'm sure, actually, you're but it's only if you have the schedule, honestly.
That's fair. I do work a lot. That's the important part.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, support a salty rat, and you may be able to keep me playing video games all day. But yeah, it's true. We'll see how that goes.
Support me instead. I need to go ahead and get some new nibs for my tablet.
Support
Actually, I already ordered them, and they're like $.
Friend, I'll buy you nips for Christmas.
Buy me so
God, I thought you said nips, and I got very concerned.
You know what? I actually kind of cheese nip, so...
Well, there is a place that I knew when I lived in Arizona, but they were called nips, but they were chips.
Oh, okay. It sounds good.
I mean, cheese did really good. I don't know if those are the same. They're like knockoff cheese. It's great.
Kind of hungry for cheese. I can get down with.
You're a Cheez-It.
Why did you say this?
Because I'm out of
Oh, man.
control. I'm full of rage.
I'm full of anger.
Look out, he's coming your way.
Oh God. As we usually say around here, we're doing a bi-weekly schedule now. So next Saturday I'm just gonna be streaming something, but the Saturday after that we're gonna be doing. Gail, what are we doing next week?
On December 5th, the Saturday of December 5th, we are going to do Cyberpunk 2020.
Yep, there you go. You heard it right there. 5 days before the release of Cyberpunk 2077, we'll be doing.
It's almost like we timed it or something.
It almost is. It's
What a
almost like we're gonna
coincidence.
do it like last week before Cyberpunk 2020. You know.
It's like we have this thing that we do now.
It's almost like we have brains and the capacity for projecting our thoughts into the future and understanding that
I'm
events
just
in the
along.
future are going to happen to us.
I'm just along for the ride, honestly.
And it's gonna be
That's
fun.
fine.
We're gonna have a good time with it.
We're going to have a good ride.
We had a good time. Guys, happy birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Day.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday, guys.
Birthday.
Happy
birthday.
birthday!
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.